So as we're just letting everyone file in the room, first of all, thank you for everyone for attending today. We're really excited to share a bit about where we've been working on, to really bring blockchain NFTs into the conservation and impact space. We're going to start just by playing a little video, give some people time to fill in, and this sort of encapsulates a bit of the mission that we have here at Project Ark. So go ahead and play that, Candice. Be sure to share your audio.
Right now, we are living through the Earth's sixth mass extinction event. Our world is losing almost 150 species a day due to human-caused destruction. At Project Ark, we have created a carbon-neutral NFT marketplace where artists and collectors can support organizations leading the fight for animal and environmental conservation, using the power of art and digital assets to directly fund the projects that protect the species and habitats that we are at the greatest risk of losing. Our team brings 50+ years of experience in global development and sustainability. Spanning across 12 countries, we've partnered with impact-driven NGOs such as the World Wildlife Foundation's Panda Labs, the Nasuli Conservancy, and together with 150 artists and creatives, including Emmy Award-winning National Geographic filmmakers, famous recording artists, and photographers. We are creating an ecosystem of creatives from around the world to collaborate and develop captivating, immersive art experiences. Through our collective success, these vital organizations will be able to access new funding and spread the word of their impact. We are partnered with Chainlink, where artists can create living art in the form of dynamic NFTs connected to real-world data sets that change with the ever-evolving ecosystem. We have also partnered with award-winning game development studio Chicken Waffle to create immersive virtual experiences and interactive games. Within our network, we connect creatives with impact-based projects, helping them to sell their work as NFTs, fostering environmental innovation. Buyers of these rare collectible NFTs will be able to know exactly where their money goes and the impact it creates. We will also create natural endowment funds via the Earth DAO to foster collective governance in supporting future large-scale conservation efforts. We believe in the power of art and the idea that protecting our natural world is something that we can all value. Together we are Project Ark.
So I hope everyone caught that, but I think that encapsulates a little bit about what we're trying to achieve here. My name is John O'Sullivan, and I'm the business development manager for Project Ark here in North America. And I have about a 10-year background in international development, a recent entry to the blockchain space about a year ago, but I firmly believe in the power that it has to really mobilize both human and physical capital for some of the world's most complex challenges. So I'd like to introduce my colleague, Candice. Take it away.
My name is Candice Burin. I'm the Marketing Operations Associate for Ark. I've got 14 years diverse experience in marketing strategy and innovation across Africa and Asia, and we're looking to make an impact.
And now Nahid, just one of the most fantastic human beings I've ever met, and we're excited to have her. Nahid, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, John. It is a joy to be here today. My name is Nahid Shahalimi, and I come from approximately 2 decades of work with development and non-governmental, governmental organizations and social impact work on the ground, mostly in war zones. And I also come from a 30+ years of fine arts painting background. I have social impact projects, campaigns worldwide, and now with the NFTs, very much involved in the last 6 months or so. And I would love to tell you about it all later, a little bit in detail. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here, Nahid. Now, for those out there, maybe some are familiar, some just know a little bit. Let's just start off real quick. What is an NFT? So an NFT could be thought of as, it's a unit of data stored on a digital ledger, called the blockchain, and it certifies that digital asset to be unique, not interchangeable with one another, and it can certify ownership. A lot of people may think that, oh, it's just a JPEG, but that is just scratching the surface of what this technology can do for the world. So building upon this, this base level understanding, what it can do for creatives is something that has been pretty revolutionary in the space. It can bring radical democratization to your ownership. So basically, you don't have to worry about the gatekeepers in the fine art community. You don't have to worry about, the marketing that it takes to find your community. with NFTs, it's one of the most welcoming and immersive and fast moving networks. And I'll let Nahid talk a little bit about that community development in a bit. But it essentially provides people the opportunity to find their tribe and to find a global tribe and to create things that not only educate, inspire, and change the way that people look at the world, but also raise those much needed funds. Now, they also provide lifelong royalties, and this has a lot of implications for conservation organizations. It's every time an NFT is bought and sold, that percentage goes back to the original creator, which is something that doesn't exist, right, in the physical space. And I know I just want to touch very briefly on it. I know there's been a lot of debate in the emissions question versus what's called proof of work and proof of stake. Now, while there are a number of blockchains out there that already use what's called proof of stake, which is 99.8% less emissions, essentially it's null and void in terms of the true emissions impact. But Ethereum, which is the largest blockchain, is actually moving to proof of stake within anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on how the rollout actually takes place. So the blockchain space is moving so fast, adapting to this emissions question. And as of right now, there are what they call layer 2, as well as other proof of stake blockchains that exist to make sure that we are constantly aware of and doing our best to mitigate and be more sustainable. Now, the implications that these have for real world value and utility are immense, and we'll flesh that out throughout the course of the presentation. But one thing that I just bear you to keep in mind is that an NFT can represent a contract and ownership to discounts, rewards, events, real world items, land, anything under the sun, this digital contract can represent. So to think of it simply as a JPEG is really just the first baby step that this sector had taken. Now, who is Project Ark and what are impact NFTs that we're trying to create? So Project Ark was actually born out of a TED Talk that we witnessed where one of the heads of the WWF was talking about holding one of the last endangered rhinos in her hand while it died. Now, this is a story that if you have a heart in your chest, it'll resonate with anyone. And we knew that in the blockchain space, NFTs had the opportunity to dramatically revolutionize the funding streams for these organizations and help prevent these types of catastrophes and loss of biodiversity. So an impact NFT is not simply just a percentage that donates to the organization. That's solving a key resource and revenue issue, but it's also about changing the narrative. Right now, I feel that as we've all experienced, there's a lot of doom and gloom, and it's almost trying to guilt trip you into either changing your habits or donating money to the cause. But we can create something that's immersive, educational, inspiring, experiential, that actually forms a community around it. And what we can do is we can make people reflect on their role in the natural world. We can make them want to learn more. We can make them feel galvanized to share knowledge and resources with others so that we can create a change. It's about changing the narrative from, oh, what can I do, to what can I do? So what we are seeking to create with our marketplace is a carbon neutral and actually carbon negative. We often try to go at least 5x into the carbon negative using a carbon offset projects that are either Verra or Gold Standard certified. But we're seeking to create a marketplace and an ecosystem that connects artists that are passionate about telling a story, that want to give back via the majesty of their art, but also get paid for it. We want to connect them with collectors that are purpose-driven, that want something that's inherently unique and valuable, but also want to know where each and every dollar they spend goes via the transparency of the blockchain. And ultimately, we want to connect them with the impact organizations themselves, who, again, diversify income, create royalties for decades to come, as well as change the narrative. So we, Project Ark, have a number of tech partners, from Baby Lion Media, which is a full end-to-end production house that's worked on many Netflix films, Chicken Waffle VR, which is an award-winning game institute, and as we mentioned in the video, Chainlink, which is one of the largest Oracle dataset companies in blockchain. And what we want to create is living art. We want NFTs and art that reflect the actual impact on the ground, the outcomes of these projects. Now, in the NFT itself, we can embed metadata, project information, exclusive rights to, let's say, visit a conservation park if you support it via NFT. But more than that, we can actually change the image itself. So let's say we're supporting, a marine conservation project that is building coral reefs. Well, God forbid that reef ever bleaches, your NFT gets bleached, and you'll know right then and there something's wrong on the ground. I got to look into this. I got to do something. Or let's say you're supporting a conservation group in Africa, and it's a herd of elephants, and there's the birthing season. Well, we'll drop in a baby elephant. Or if it's the dry season, it's dusty. It's creating a connectivity, right? when you show a commercial, it's passive. You look at it, you scroll by it, but this is something you own. This is something you have skin in the game. This is something that creates that community of people around you and changes based upon, so you're always up to date and looking into how that project is going and hopefully supporting it further. Now, a real brief intro to what we've done so far and what we're looking to do. And this kind of gives an example of the different types of impact NFTs that we can create. And Candice, if you can go ahead and change that slide. This one right here is an example for our Genesis drop for WWF Romania. The Romanian egg built upon Romanian tradition, and we were supporting the WWF in Romania. Sorry, it's a little hard to talk over the sound. Candice, I'm gonna just real quick click that. Control of the slides here, guys. I apologize. What that was actually supporting, though, and the story it tells is interesting. So our first partnership is with, and by the way, I forgot to mention, Project Ark is partnered with WWF Panda Labs, which is their innovation wing that seeks to turn communities into conservationists via new innovative models. So our first project was supporting WWF Romania, who was working on reintroducing the European bison back into the wild after going extinct in the wild in 1920. So this is Europe's largest land mammal. And those eggs actually represent a tier where you get an additional reward NFT. And it's based on the Romanian tradition of painted eggs. The sound you were hearing actually sampled traditional Romanian instruments. It also used what's called plant wave technology, where we recorded the biorhythms of plants to control some of the musical notes. And it was mixed in 8D binaural sound. So when you put your headphones in, it's an incredibly immersive experience. And those eggs gave you access to lifelong rewards. If you were to ever visit Romania and the Carpathians, you get to go on a tour to meet all the buffalo and the locals. So there's a number of actual real world access it provided. Now, this Genesis drop is still ongoing. So you can see it when you check out projectark.co. But we also recently did one called Snarky Sharks. And Snarky Sharks is based off of, you may have heard of the Bored Apes craze, where some of these are selling for $15-20 million. It's pretty crazy, but it's called the generative art project that actually, randomizes what you get, and it's an avatar. There's 10,000 of these, and we're actually supporting a group from Ultramarine, which will be cleaning up World War II munitions that were dumped off the coast of Hawaii, which are actually giving the local shark population cancer. So this is an issue that's finite. There's only so many bombs in it, and people can, it's tactile. Climate change often feels like such a big problem. And we thought that this is something where we can show over the course of time, getting those bombs out of the ground. And the other portion that we'll be sharing with that project is with Sea Legacy. They have an incredibly amazing mission to get 1 billion people to support marine conservation. And they're also some of the best 21st century storytellers there are, started by Mr. Paul Nicklin. He's a famous photographer. The one other one we did is Purple Penguin, and Purple Penguin is what we would call, a relatively fairly priced NFT, $50. It's priced for the common man. It's supporting a group called Saving Penguins, which actually builds nests to protect the endangered African penguin. But what this NFT represents, it may just seem, okay, it's a static image, but it's actually at your access as an NFT gamer pass to this metaverse game, which will actually educate people on penguins. You can upgrade and battle your penguins. It's essentially, the gaming community never seems to run out of money these days. And so it's that NFT acts as your early access to get all of the best things for the game to come. So this is an example of your NFT being a pass. Another one that we'll be working with, we can't put the name of the organization because it is to come, but it's one of the world's largest conservation organizations. And we're working with them to create not only the NFTs, but also smart contracts that enable the funding from corporations to fund for the relocation of endangered species to new land. So from giraffes to leopards, we're actually creating all of the metadata tied to, GPS tracking, so you can know where the giraffe is, all of these wonderful things that you can embed into the metadata, but also have a really cool animated animal as well to show that you supported the actual transport of these endangered species. Another one would be, we went down to LA to a pre-Oscars event. We took 64 videos with different celebrities, and we took those AR videos with our lioness and our panda. And actually anyone out there can, we'll drop the link after, but XR/Swim/Project Ark. You can pull it up on your phone and take pictures and videos for free with a lioness, a panda, a gorilla, or a wolf. And, you know, we have a lot of plans for this app to actually, you know, we can use this for corporations. We can use this for anyone under the sun that wants to add this. And it's a fun thing to take a picture with a lion. So we did 64 celebrities, and we'll be auctioning those off at an event in November. Now, we also are very active in trying to bridge the space between blockchain, fine art, real world. We want people to understand that this isn't just, you know, a file that lives on your phone. It's something that, you know, if you have a TV or a projector, that can be an experiential thing. So we actually have an exhibit in October at Soho House. We have our auction at the Miami Crypto Experience in November. And we're actually bringing in multiple other organizations that are working in and around the impact NFT space so that they can showcase, auction off, and share their stuff with the world. And most recently, and this will be my segue into a wonderful Candice, we recently did an NFT partnership with Lay's PepsiCo, supporting their Smiles program for youth. And this is an example of a corporation that wanted to enter the space. They wanted to just, you know, we got our toes wet. And this NFT represents 6,000 smiles that were sent in from their community using the bag of chips itself. And so this is just the first step. And Lay's is excited to really explore the NFT space further and how they can create with their community. Now that leads me into our Impact NFT Alliance. And Project Ark is spearheading this, but we've got a number of partners on board, and we hope to have many more. And Candice has been spearheading this. And Candice, I really want to know, what is the Impact NFT Alliance? What will the initiatives achieve, and what's it all about?
So this is a developing industry. It's a young industry, and it's an industry that we want to start shaping to actually be more impactful than it would just be if it were just for gaming. We feel that gaming is a way to engage people, and it's also a way to make almost things that are sustainable or things that are generally things that we have to do into something more fun and engaging that we'd actually want to do them. So it's an incentivization system to help with social impact causes. And in a way, it kind of gives gamers what they want, and they're actually doing good by just playing games or just using NFTs and just doing the things they normally do with collectibles. But then they're also actually funding social causes that we need to get fixed in our world. So it's a fun way for us to actually address a lot of the problems that we've got globally. The reason we've got this community is obviously it's a developing industry. You need a lot of different types of people to kind of help shape it. You need technologists, you need consulting type of people, marketing, PR people, corporate customers, sustainability type of people, social impact type of people, artists, because of the different views and the different ways in which we can see how the industry can be shaped and built. And that's why we're looking for those kind of passionate people to be involved. If we look at the SDGs, so there's a lot of problems in the world that need to be addressed. So obviously, the more diverse the group is, but obviously we want people who understand the space or who understand how the space can integrate with other parts in the space. It doesn't really help us if someone's coming to just like learn for their own sake, unless they're super interested and they're going to be contributing to the community and helping grow and shape the community. We obviously want to play a pivotal role in shaping the industry and making the industry more impactful than it would be in isolation, and obviously to develop the industry for good and to make it a more legitimate and a well-regulated industry, that it is actually acknowledged and recognized as a strong contributor towards achieving our social impact goals. The key people we're looking for is NFT projects, so people who are already working on NFT projects, who are interested in working on NFT projects in the social impact space now or in the near future. We're obviously looking for Web3 organizations. We're looking for innovators, people in DeFi, people who want to change the world, people who want to make an impact. Those are the kind of people we're looking for. And we obviously want service providers. So people who can help come up with the regulation and the legislation around the industry from a legal perspective. There's copyright considerations, there's property right considerations that come with these kind of NFTs, and also how they can actually be made legitimized in terms of renewable energy certificates so that they're actually recognized as a digital format for these things. Obviously, consultants understand how the whole process and everything can fit together and how that picture can be built. So we would encourage that, and obviously PR professionals to help build the industry and create more hype around the industry. Also, we see corporations playing an increasing role in impact NFTs. Many corporations are being called to order that they have to start transitioning into net zero targets, into caring for biodiversity. They are the biggest contributors to a lot of the pollution that happens in our world, but they have the ability to change a lot of the things that are happening in our world. And we see impact NFTs as a way that they can actually engage both their customers and their other stakeholders, including their employees, to actually meet their targets while also engaging them and not losing that engagement or that competitive advantage. So how is it transformational for corporations? It's a digital asset that's linked to real world change and impact. We're moving into a more digital space. Everyone over the past years, because of COVID-19, have literally gone into remote working. Being engaged digitally has become a normal state of being. We want to start looking at ways we can give images utility. As we move into a more digital world, images are going to start merging with the real world. What we see in the real world and what we see in the digital world are going to become interlinked. So the more we can start seeing how we can build in this space and how we can use this space to create real world impact, the stronger the business case for impact NFTs will be. Given the new image and utility, we see this as a way for corporate social responsibility spend to be enhanced. Currently, many organizations do social responsibility spend. The people who know about it are the people who do the ESG reports and the few people inside the organization who are actually responsible for driving the corporate social responsibility agenda. We want to find a way to engage employees within the organization so that they become active drivers of social impact, and also to engage customers in part of the community, that they feel they're contributing to part of this by the products that they buy and use, and also how they can be involved in the community that the organizations are creating around social impact. We also want to superpower existing internal and external marketing spend. Currently, marketers already spend money on all these things. The money does not go to social impact causes. So what we're saying is you can buy these things as a marketing department, you can go into NFTs, and you're actually doing cause-related marketing by going through an NFT space, because you are donating funds that would literally just go to maybe a marketing agency or go into an advertising agency instead of being distributed to a wider audience. And then we see it as being a verifiable public certificate on the blockchain, potentially to replace renewable energy certificates, but also to show supply chain developments. So as the supply chain becomes more green, more efficient, as the different stakeholders that get involved become more socially impactful and also more socially responsible, that can all be recorded in the blockchain. Data on, like, for instance, the quality of water or the quality of the experience on a farm. I know, for example, a friend of mine, they've got like a drone business that it analyzes crops, and it can feed that data into your NFT, and you would be able to see the health of your crops in your NFT based on the data that's coming from those kind of drones. There are ways to integrate data in very interesting and dynamic ways using NFTs. Examples of maybe applications around NFTs in a marketing space, so that we can start seeing the NFT is more than a JPEG. The NFT is actually just a visual image to a digital contract and a digital certificate, but it's making it in a way more aesthetically pleasing and engaging for the person to interact with the contract. You can link it to real world events. It could be a VIP access pass. Instead of you having a bracelet or a card, you just have the NFT that would give you access to certain events. Special rewards and unique real world collectibles that you can obtain through NFTs, while also making an SDG impact. So you could be contributing to a cause simply by buying things that you would normally buy, but you're actually contributing to enhancing the funding mechanisms to enhance our world. Another example is Coca-Cola recently launched in Decentraland, where you can basically buy land, and it's basically a virtual world that's being created where you can buy objects, you can buy clothes. It's become a whole digital realm where you can basically shop. And those things basically would have a lower carbon footprint as we transition to renewable energies and those start being used in terms of minting processes. This is going to become a lot more carbon neutral than probably buying a product if we have to reduce our actual consumption. But then you still get to have the experience of the product in a different world. And that can also, what we're looking at in terms of the blockchain is that can be maybe taken from world to world as the blockchain develops and metaverses develop. Collectors can also be tracked and rewarded. You can see who your top consumers are. You can reward them with more NFTs. You can reward them with special giveaways and special connections because you can see exactly what they're consuming in these worlds. You can see exactly from the NFT who owns them. You know who your loyal customers are. And it's making a real world SDG impact without having to give up any creativity or any competitive advantage from a marketing and branding standpoint. In fact, it actually enhances your marketing and branding impact. Engagement, rewards, and gifting. So I know when you guys all go for coffee, you get the little coffee card that's basically like, oh, come here 10 times, get stamped, and then you'll get a free coffee. Now, the same concept can work with a digital NFT, where basically with an Impact NFT, you'll go, you get your digital rewards, you can activate, you collect 5 NFTs, and then it unlocks your 6th NFT. It can birth new NFTs when you resell it. There are lots of ways in which to engage brands for customers and for employees. If you're an employee, you could also get these kind of rewards where someone could maybe give you a reward for doing something good for them in the office. And it can create that kind of collegiality through rewarding. Impact NFTs for incentivizing employees to customers to learn. So a major issue facing many organizations across the world is how we are going to upskill the many people that we have to upskill for the 4th Industrial Revolution and for the green economy. This is a way in which we can use NFTs as gifts and rewards and trophies that can be shared in terms of shared learning, and then it can be passed on to somebody else. So you could encourage team members to basically learn and say, I will give you my NFT. You could get a copy of the NFT, so you've still got kind of a reward, but now the NFT is sitting with the next person. There's ways of creating these engaging, stimulating work environments and very stimulating community environments for people using NFTs. You can learn to earn. So every time you learn, you could get an NFT. It's going to be to your benefit. And then you also know that behind the NFT, you can probably link the social responsibility goals and the social progress goals of the organization to the NFT. So you're actually achieving dual outcomes. It can also be used as a private members club entrance. So you can create unique clubs and experience for NFT owners. For example, if you were to buy, for example, a leopard NFT or an elephant NFT, it might be linked to an African safari where you would get special perks, or you'd get to visit special animals, or you'd get special animal experiences when you visit the safari. You might get special videos sent to you of births of animals that not everyone would have access to. There's exclusive member kind of communities that can be created around the NFTs that you would know about things. You could even watch your NFT grow and develop using the NFT, and that would be linked to your specific animal that you've chosen to sponsor. Same with the scuba diving or rainforests. It's endless, the kind of adventures that can be created by marketers in this space. Another thing we see NFTs for, and particularly impact NFTs, is corporate social responsibility engagement with stakeholder groups. We see a vision of NFTs or impact NFTs getting to a point where they actually replace renewable energy certificates and they be used for offsetting. So you would be able to engage and include corporation stakeholders on ESG and SDG journeys through metadata updates. I would be able as an investor to track through NFTs what is happening with my investments, what is happening in terms of the development of your SDG goals as an organization. And that's very exciting that you can kind of keep that level of awareness and real-time awareness and updates from your NFT. Leading on from this, I'm actually going to show you an example, because I can talk about the different ways in which I perceive NFTs having a real world value. But actually, there is an example of this actually happening. And I'm going to introduce you now to Nahid, who's going to take us through what she's actually doing in this space from an SDG NFT impact expert.
Thank you so much, Candice. It is it was very overwhelming for me 6 months ago when I came into the NFT space. Half of what Candice and John just said, I did not even understand, and I speak 6 languages. So it was very difficult for me to grasp as an artist, as somebody who does these campaigns in the physical world, to kind of understand the whole concept, until I got into the NFT community. And that is the NFT, one of the largest growing and fastest growing NFT communities in the Clubhouse and now in the Twitter space. What happened is that I found that through the NFTs, for somebody, an artist that comes from 30+ years of fine arts, where there's a lot of gatekeeping, there was absolutely none of that in the NFT space. That was what was really, for me, in a way, very positively shocking, because in the NFT space, the one thing that you get is that you have musicians, you have artists, you have graphic designers, you have coders, you have developers, you have CEOs of the NFT platforms that come to you personally and help you how to onboard yourself onto this path. And that is what was, to me, I had to make sure that this was said in this panel, that the overwhelm was over within literally 1 week. 1 week in the NFT space equals to literally a year in the physical space. That's how fast that pace is. And it is very, very easy. It becomes very easy the minute that you go in there. And when I got in there about 6 months ago, I saw this gap that Candice and John have been talking about. I saw it immediately. Although I am absolutely not a tech person, for all that are here, I have somebody that comes in and even fixes my iPhone and my computer. I just got an iPhone, and my daughter says, "Mommy, you sell NFTs and you have about 6 different cryptos in the last 6 months, but you don't know how to fix your iPhone and update it." And I don't. But that is the beauty of the space where I got the help that I needed in order to make specifically this project. I come from Afghanistan. My last 20 years has been very active in Afghanistan. And as all of you know, and I don't have to explain, on August 15th, that whole everything that we, my colleagues, my staff, my friends, everybody in Afghanistan worked for, went into thin air like that, our work. And that is the human rights work and social impact work. Nevertheless, on the 16th, on Mondays, I have a regular weekly room in created. I'm spearheading the humanities projects and social impact projects of that community in the Clubhouse every single Monday. And I appeared on the 16th, very, very shaken, but I tried not to show it, because it was very important for me to be there for people like Project Ark, people like WWF, which we had featured. One of our first features was Project Ark about 3-4 months ago, with the Bisons, with what they were doing with the WWF. And it was so important to fill that gap, the bridges between the physical and the virtual, which I saw immediately, although I'm not a techie person. And I saw it because it is the extended hand and the extended arm that we don't really look at it that way, but it has limitless potential. I'm going to come back to the NFTs Stand Up for Unity. The Stand Up for Unity movement exists for almost 10 years. In 2015, I got the Dalai Lama to endorse it, and literally harassed him for about 6 months, but he endorsed it. And then it has all of these other projects, empowerment programs, creative programs, workshops, seminars all over the world. Even in Germany, we have a mental health program that we do with women in sports under this platform. And then when Afghanistan happened, on the 16th, I literally called upon the community or the social impactors and humanity artists that I had been working with and building this community. I literally just made one call and I said, I need your help to put these Stand Up for Unity NFTs also under this platform. To make a long story short, today we don't only have this campaign that is active in Afghanistan. We have about 50 girls that we have placed in a safe place where they're being educated, although the rest of the country is not allowing girls' schools to be open. We have an institution, an all-female institution, which I will not name, and they have started 10 days ago. And the funds that we created through campaigns, which you will see in the next slide, is our first campaign that we did with artists, 40 pieces of NFTs were sold out before we even started the auction on the 19th. And it is the NFTs for freedom. So just because people talk to each other, they approach it. I didn't even know this person. They heard from somebody that heard the call on the 16th of August in my humanity room. And they came together and they built the whole thing up. A team came together and built this whole thing day and night with me up. And now we have on the ground people that were helping. At the same time, there are also those that have left Afghanistan. For those who do not, who may not know, the banks have been closed and there was not enough money to actually to take money out and feed yourself on the ground in Afghanistan. So the ones that left, most of these women especially, have been directly involved in the empowerment programs and all of these programs that we, let's say the international community, built for them and emancipated them. So it became a curse to them, but they also had to leave everything behind, and all of their assets were frozen in the bank, in the fiat bank, in the real bank. But when they come out with the funds that we have raised through these NFTs in crypto, you just need a ledger and a crypto to give it in their hands and feed them, basically. And that's what we've been doing. So we are working with certain NGOs that are allowed to work on the ground, because they're going to be about 70% of the NGOs that are in Afghanistan will not be able to do their work because it will not be compatible to the new regime's rules and laws, as we know. So I have found the ones that are able to take crypto and are able to work with on the ground. So there are some UN agencies. I also sit on the UNICEF German committee. Nevertheless, UNICEF is very limited right now, as we all know. It is very difficult to work on the ground. So grassroots level becomes very important, and therefore the artists that work under these campaigns, and the next campaign, for example, there's over 30 artists, women artists from all over the world that came together and built this next campaign that is going to be auctioned off on the 7th of October for us as well. And all of this has come together in a very grassroots level. Now, the artists are not only creating art to help this campaign, feeding the people and also resettling them and putting some girls into education in a place where girls' education is literally not happening at the moment. But at the same time, it is the decentralized way that it is not connected to the banks, makes it very transparent, because we know exactly how much and when it goes to whom, so because you can trace it. And that is what is the beauty of NFTs and the campaigns that we have built through NFTs, is also with the fact that we're losing the culture in Afghanistan. I give Afghanistan as an example because it is the most recent and the most talked about event that is happening in the world. But we do this in Iraq as well. We have archaeological sites that are being completely, destroyed through all of these wars. But yet with the NFTs, with the imagery and VR and AR and all of these technology, we can actually revive it and save that culture. What we're doing with the artists right now and the back channels, apart from all of these wonderful campaigns that we have with the artists as a collective, is that because of the fact that the art, music, and anything that has to do with culture is completely erased from culture, from daily life in Afghanistan right now. And the idea is that they want to erase it from history. They can no longer erase it from history through the blockchain, because we will be minting a lot of the artworks that have been destroyed inside of Afghanistan, and a lot of the artists that have destroyed it in the last 5+ weeks because of the fear that they've had. We will be minting and we will be onboarding those artists as well into this NFT space, so that they can not only basically save their artworks, but also make money off of it, so that they can feed themselves, and at the same time have this incredible voice of the voiceless. You can say this because a lot of these voices are being soon. We will have internet problems there as well. This is just like the next phase and the next phase. But these people can bring out all of their stories through the blockchain out and really have it there minted forever. And therefore, we don't lose history anymore. We don't lose culture anymore. We don't lose the colors, the beautiful colors that we've had Afghanistan was not born 20 years ago or 40 years ago. It has over thousands of years of history and tradition, which we now can really save. And like the Buddhas that were blown up, we can save those, all of those things. And that goes not only in Afghanistan, but also in other parts of the world. So the NFT space gives you this ability to not only do technological, like basically with technology, you do so much more than just approach and fundraise. You can actually do grassroots work to save a lot of the culture and arts in war zones, especially. It's in Syria, same thing. Yemen is going through the same thing. A lot of these problems will be solved, especially when you're talking about the saving humanity, because that is history of civilizations, and that is how we learn. And then eventually getting the students involved would be something else that I really think that we should have our education systems getting involved, universities getting involved, because this gives them a completely different, a multifaceted, multi-layered way of engaging all parts of the society in there. You need a developer, you need a coder, you need a CEO, you need a social impactor, you need an NGO. All of them come under one umbrella. And therefore, we have a lot of other red threads that are completely worked with and under this platform, which means that you don't only talk about arts, you also talk about empowerment, you also talk about inclusivity, you also talk about diversity. So all of these checklists are automatically done under this. So to make a summary of what I would like to convey to this panel is that the limits of NFT and NFT space and campaigns and building and bringing people together, and not only diverse people, but to bring them all inclusively, is something that I see, and I saw it the first week that I walked into the NFT space. And that is why I decided to spearhead the social good aspect of it. And that's so that weekly we bring in people like Project Ark, people like Red Cross, for example, is also in that space. There are lots of many other people that are coming in together, and they are also collaborating with each other, which doesn't often happen on the ground either. And that is something that I see as a huge potential, an extended arm of not only fundraising, but also raising awareness for truly important issues on the ground that we cannot solve physically, maybe, but it is solvable through NFTs. Thank you. I
almost feel bad talking after Naheed. That was the perfect synopsis, and what a amazing thing that you've been able to do with the community, mobilizing in a crisis. I think that about sums it up, guys. Like, we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. I also was the type of person that thought, well, JPEG, why would I pay for that? It is exponentially more. You know, this can represent real world land ownership to prevent resource extraction, educational and experiential events in AR and VR, like Naheed was talking about. Gamification. There's a wonderful game called Axie Infinity, which is changing lives in the developing world for people that can actually earn a living now, playing to earn cryptocurrency. CSR projects, SDG funding, DAOs, what they're called decentralized autonomous organizations, to create massive endowment funds that actually grow your investment. There are exponential opportunities here. And I think what we really want out there is for, this is a call to action. Let's co-create this bold new space. Let's bring in the good actors. Let's bring in responsible actors, and let's raise all boats together. Because at the end of the day, the problems that we face in this world are so complex, so far-reaching, and they're transnational in nature. Yet it affects every single person on every part of the globe. And what the NFT space does is it allows for rapid movement, rapid community development, and most of all, engagement. People have skin in the game and they want to be a part of something. So let's all, explore this together. And we invite you to send us emails, messages, anything under the sun that you want. And let's unlock the massive amounts of human and physical capital that it's going to take to solve all of the problems listed under the World Sustainable Development Goals. So just want to thank all the panelists here for joining us. And I guess we can leave it open for another 10-15 for any Q&A that possibly comes through. Tom, who is our tech gentleman on the back end here, let us know any questions that come up, and we can certainly address them as we go. And if not, we can sit in silence. That's fine too.
If I may add something while we're gathering questions, there's also another wonderful artist named Kofi who has been doing an incredible amount of research in the last couple of years. And what he found all of this data, this raw data about masks, African masks that have been stolen from the different countries from Africa, where they don't even have any history of that. I'm trying to convince him to write a book about this. So what he did is that he went out and he found all of this data, all of the history that from all over all the archives, and he put these masks together as an NFT, although they don't exist in physical world. But now we have a history that was completely lost. I had no idea about any of it. And he's doing very, very well with this. And the idea of putting that into a book, but also NFTing the book, is something that I truly believe in the potential of that. I'm a writer. I'm writing a book right now, and it's coming out in 4 weeks about African women's stories, but their own stories. And the idea is to literally take those stories and NFT those stories, get the script writers, the ones that are NFT script writers, really these beautiful scripts, not only promote the artists, but at the same time, get the stories out. Storytelling through all of these means becomes a channel for them to also make a living, but at the same time, bring awareness and do conservation of our own history and our own traditions. And these are the things that we really have to pinpoint and say, how much of this is really happening in the world and how fast is it happening? We will lose a lot if we don't do things like this.
I remember when Kofi first reached out to me, I said, you got to talk to NFT Tips. You got to talk to Nahid. Kofi is a phenomenal artist and a wonderful steward of African culture. And I think it was such a beautiful concept. It's almost like reclaiming your history, reclaiming what was once lost and what was once taken, and you can do it in the digital realm. So I every time anyone brings up Kofi, I'm extremely happy to talk about. And I think we have 2 questions. And Tom, did you want to relay those to us? Or are they put in writing?
Yeah, I'm going to look for them now. How can we combine NFT and improvisational theater? Okay, there's more questions coming through while I'm reading it. Theater therapy, art therapy, integrating NFTs with art therapy.
If I may answer that, there are some projects that are already in the NFT space, and there are some really wonderful producers and art curators that are working with theater therapy and art therapy. So I do urge you to come to Clubhouse, maybe on either on Mondays or any of the NFT Tips rooms, and you will be able to meet them in person. And to connect you with them is I would say that is the best way to get that answer, and also to work with them in collaboration with them, because they already are doing that physically. They're doing it on the ground, and they're doing it in this NFT space, and they have combined it somehow with bridges. So it is happening already.
Okay, then another question is, what about IP issues? For example, if I wanted to mint an NFT of Virunga National Park, would I get a cease and desist letter from Africa Parks or the DRC government?
So Nahid, maybe you have a bit of information on this, but this is something that the law is still developing. Because blockchain is so new and NFTs are so new, regulations aren't necessarily in place. But let's say, are you minting this NFT of Virunga to 100% profit for yourself, or to provide funds to the organization? Because in my experience, every single conservation organization we've spoken to says, you want to help us? Hell yes, right? So this is the nature of it, right? If you're creating something that brings value, absolutely. But if you want to use their name in formal channels, you have to be very respectful of the organization that you're trying to help, right? There are issues with, brand association, right? People have to be very careful sometimes about the people that you partner with, and you have to do the proper vetting. So there are some laws in place, but an NFT represents ownership, not copyright. There are reproductions all over the world of famous sites, events, companies, logos, and nothing can happen. It's just that an NFT is very visible, traceable on the blockchain. So it may bring the ire of some groups. That being said, again, and you may have information on this, it's something that is still developing.
I would just add to what John said. The best way to create a project that has to do with social impact is always to collaborate with the people that are on the ground. So I also suggest that you not only collaborate with an NGO that really fights for that, but also get the government involved, and they would be more than happy. And usually the best way to, IP questions are always going to be there, but of course because the international, there is no such thing as international IP law, so every country has their own IP laws and copyrights laws. So therefore, for you to be doing it in a way that if it is for social impact, then they will listen to you. The cultural ministry will listen to you. Their history will be, if you present a concept of such with your partners, they will listen to you. So bring them on board. That would be my best bet. And I haven't heard of anybody that has said no to this kind of an impact. And as John mentioned, every NGO is willing to come on board. And believe me that 6 months ago, I think Project Ark was one of the only ones that I featured, and I wrote an article because I'm co-editor of an NFT news channel, and you were one of the few ones. We had to look for these incredible programs and incredible institutions, and now we have so many of them, and they also collaborate with each other. So please, I urge you very strongly to, if you have something that you want to do on the ground with land and with, especially with famous locations or famous people, even get in touch with them, get them on board, and they would love to work with you.
Absolutely. Just going through these questions, just to be cognizant of time, I'll try to answer them as best as possible. But one question was, I'd be curious to understand a bit more about how NFTs could support local communities and not just fundraise and give them money. So first and foremost, I'd say it's largely about the partnerships. What is the organizations you're working with on the ground, and what are they trying to achieve? I'll give a couple of different examples. One, with the Global Ocean Coalition, they build underwater art exhibits that turn into living, breathing coral reefs that are resilient to climate change. We can NFT each of the individual pieces of coral that get planted on it, and this helps fund the event. Now, all of the local coastal communities are brought in and involved and educated on how to do the coral breeding. And at the same time, once the coral reef exists, it opens up new opportunities to ecotourism, predominantly in the tourism space, but it's also a massive impact on the biodiversity of their life. It's carbon heat sink. So there are end impacts. There's another group, actually, Lisa Legs here in the comment. Lisa, how are you? I was speaking with her yesterday. She's running some wonderful projects to change the way in which kids are educated in New York, predominantly in the Black and Hispanic community. So there was another group that I was talking about from a PhD student out of UC Davis, and he was saying, how do I change the narrative for kids right now that don't have access to public services, that are like members of DACA type thing, where they're afraid to come into the system because they're afraid of being deported. So we were thinking, well, let's get together all the kids to create art, to create NFTs, to tell their story, to change a narrative, to show them how DeFi and blockchain space can help make them money, can help actually use those funds that they create to go back into these programs that they are afraid to have access to. So again, it's all about the project. It's very context oriented. It's a broad concept, but it's all about the organizations you partner with and the actual impact you have on the ground and the mechanism through which you use those NFTs to do it. The next question was, did I understand it correctly that you believe that NFTs will help preserve historical and cultural items that should otherwise be kept in museums, but unfortunately being destroyed? Best way to describe this is there's actually a virtual museum now in Iraq, all of the destroyed tablets. They look at all the old photography and they complete the piece in AR. So if there's a missing piece of a tablet or a missing piece of a statue, you hold up your phone or a tablet, it completes the piece. It's bringing the digital experience while you're physically seeing what the remnants are and then telling a story. So, AR is something that I think is going to be pretty big. You scan a little code on something and then it shows you all the ingredients to a product, or it shows you where everything came from. It tells a story, right? And so that's kind of what we were talking about, NFTs preserving the culture. How do you feel about people in the universe that are buying NFTs as an investment rather than for the impact for good that they are generating? And how do you make them interested in the impact NFTs? What do you feel are top criteria? Mass adoption, mass adoption, mass adoption, mass adoption. That will bring in the growth of people. Because right now, at the end of the day, you're right. The NFT collector community is still predominantly people that have been in blockchain for 10 years. These are the guys that took a gamble and were ridiculed for a decade about, funny money and what is crypto. And now look at them. So I don't blame them. They have their incentivization structure is proper. That being said, there is something out there for everyone, I believe, that is near and dear to their heart. And if we can facilitate these projects, give them a platform, connect them with the right people, the right resources, then we can find those collectors that really do give a damn, that want to invest. And if we can create an NFT that is, valuable enough, then they can still make money. We're trying to create triple win scenarios for the project, the artist, and the collector all in one. So are we going to stumble sometimes? Absolutely. But the job is to keep bringing people on board. And one thing that I do believe will help with that is what's called fiat on-ramps. So something you can pay with your credit card and then it converts in cryptocurrency to the platform. That's something that we'll be implementing with Simplex and Nuve here at Project Ark. And we genuinely believe that this will help with adoption. People are scared when they don't understand crypto. They're scared that it involves money. Money is a sensitive issue. So if it takes somebody too much to understand, they don't want to do it. But I think NFTs are a wonderful stepping stone to really explore decentralized finance and blockchain. I think that's about it. There's the last one here. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, let's do the last one then. I was about to say, what I also like about NFTs is from a cause perspective, coming from South Africa, people often take pictures of people in poverty or people who are going through a difficult time or animals that are suffering. And what I like about NFTs is it can actually take the essence of the animal or the essence of those people and not have to show them when they're at their worst, or no one wants to have their pictures taken when they're at their worst. You wouldn't want those pictures of yourself being taken, but you still want people to care about you. And I like NFTs for the storytelling ability that they have.
Absolutely. And again, it's ownership. It's giving the voice and the narrative back to the subject matter within the art itself. So if we have no more questions, we're bang on time. I just want to really thank everyone for joining us today and for learning a bit more. We hope we didn't speak too fast. The blockchain space is often like drinking water through a fire hose. There's just so much to absorb, but we hope that the Impact NFT Alliance and Project Ark can serve as a resource for anyone who wants to check us out, get involved. And again, our DMs are open 24/7. We're happy to have a conversation with you. And of course, if anyone here is on Clubhouse, join on Mondays. Every Monday, you will feel inspired and excited about the wonderful projects that are out there and the people that are working on things. And Nahid has been a tremendous facilitator in the space to do so. And again, Nahid, I know you have a book coming out very shortly to support those women in Afghanistan again. And I will give you a shameless plug if you like to talk about the name and the date it's released, because I think it's extremely important.
We literally put the book together in the last 3 weeks, and it's going to print on the 20th of October. And the book is the face of the campaign for Stand Up for Unity NFTs. And this image, actually, it went online today on Amazon for pre-sales in German, and we hope to bring it out in English in March. The face, this painting is something that I painted in 2011, and that painting was supposed to be, well, it was in the National Museum of Afghanistan in Kabul. And assuming that it has been already destroyed, the image is the only thing that we have. And that you see a little girl, but it was made of 25 faces of different little girls. And it was the number one of a collection that I made with wax called The Eye of the Innocent. And I gave that to the National Museum in Kabul. And we have 25 artists that will be doing interpretations of that. And that is the cover of the book as well. And the reason why it's so important is that that is the exact same thing that I was saying a few minutes ago. The painting may have been destroyed forever, but it will live forever now, even more than the age of the painting itself, because there are 25 artists in the community that I gave them the right to do that. And the secondary market, I made sure that every single artist gets the secondary market themselves. The money will put another 50 girls to school, and this is higher education. So it's a boarding school that they will live in for the next 2 to 3 years. And when they come out, they become nurses, midwives, things that are allowed under this regime. We will salvage the 5% and that is my 5% of hope. So thank you.
Terrific. Well, thank you everyone for attending again. We hope to see you all involved in this space in the future and help us really, again, bring the money, the people, and the impact to the SDGs in the world. Thank you.